Hello everyone, Loremaster Sotek here, and it's patch day. We have patch 7.1.0 coming out today, the day that this video will be releasing, and I just wanted to go over everything that was in it, as I try to do for each of the patches and hotfixes and stuff, though I don't get all of them, but we'll get this one. I know that this one's going to be kind of an interesting discussion. I think I want to do a video tomorrow where I literally just spend my time thinking about, or talking rather, about the direction that they're going in with the patches for the coming months. Because for those that don't know, the patch schedule is likely going to be sped up a bit, of ensuring that there's definitely one a month, but the upcoming patches for the next 6-ish months seem like they're going to be focused much more on just patching bugs and getting the game into as stable a point as possible in preparations for the end times, rather than doing what they were doing last year, where all of the patches were, while they were fixing things, they also came with new content. So each and every one of them came with at least one new unit, or with a bunch of like refreshed units in the case of like the Lizardman patch. But in any event, I'll focus more on that discussion tomorrow. Today we're just going to focus on what's in this patch. Otherwise we're going to be here forever. So we're going to go ahead and skip over the general part, because this is going to get more detailed as we get further down. Actually, and we'll just go ahead and go through it. So we got fix multiplayer crashes when you're playing with dwarf factions, so that's really good. Multiplayer crashes are never good. Fix an issue where demonic steeds were not available to characters if you were playing the Warriors of Chaos. So the demonic steeds being your unique god creature steeds. Saved versions of Takala, Styrkar, and Bjorg should no longer be available for loading in the campaign. So that was an exploit I guess some people figured out, but it has been removed. Fix an issue where the Vivifying Swelter trait was affecting only the character, not the whole army. So it's being applied properly. Fix an issue where rushing a building while opposing diplomacy could hardlock the game. So now if you have the rush button on, it will be ignored if the diplomacy panel has already been triggered, so you no longer get hardlocked. Fix an issue where characters entering the region does not update the effects in the building which require the character's presence. That's good. I've seen that one, so that's a good fix. And then fixed a bug where army's movement could be fully restored if player depleted the movement, began local recruitment, then saved and loaded the game before canceling the recruitment. So that seems like a super time-consuming way to basically give yourself infinite movement. But if you were trying to, I suppose, beat the entire game in a single turn, that is something you could do. But man, that seems really time-consuming. Beastman, fixed an issue where the cockatrice was missing. That's good. I was having to use a mod to fix that, so I'm glad that that's been properly repaired. Dark Elves. More followers have been added, available to the other Dark Elf heroes to be available for the Druchii Anointed as well. So that's really good. So that means if you have a Druchii Anointed and you're playing as Dark Elves, they now can actually equip a good amount of the followers, where beforehand they had a very limited set. Fixed issue with the Druchii Anointed could not equip its own mounts when recruited by the Cult of Pleasure. So because it's kind of like a bonus character that wasn't originally intended for the Dark Elves, it doesn't surprise me there was a couple of bugs there. Because I mean, hell, when I think back to like some of the like early access versions of the game that we saw, the content creator saw before it went out publicly, the Druchii Anointed was not available for the Cult of Pleasure until very late, like pretty much right before the DLC came out. So not super surprised there are some bugs, but it's good they got those fixed. Fixed a bug for the Winds of Power reserve bar not showing up for low gear. Good. Fixed a bug where Emmerich's dragons were not spawning properly. Dragon ships can now properly replenish their troops when in dragon ship expansion stance. Fix an issue where the Company of Caledonian did not have the naval discipline ability. That's good, they are supposed to have that. Fix an issue where the patronage capacity would sometimes not be displayed correctly in the Patrons of the Realms panel when loading saves created before patch 7.0. So that's good for people that are playing through older campaigns. Fix an issue where the cry level in favor of the Phoenix King for confederating other major Hyle factions would sometimes not be shown correctly in the Patrons of the Realms panel. Good, so you now it's now communicating the information it's supposed to be communicating. Fixed an issue where the Blades of Hoeth ROR was not being affected by the Immovable Force skill, so now they should get properly upgraded from that. Fixed an issue where Iceland's multiplayer co-op partner could not join their side when taking control of a garrison. They now will receive the correct options to fight alongside them, rather than only spectating or controlling the enemy. So that's good for people that are, especially people that are just trying to enjoy playing with friends co-op. The final Dragon Ship Admiral for the High Elf Sea Patrol should no longer be able to put points in all 3 dedication skills. So he's no longer he's no longer the most powerful admiral. He's now more like the rest of them. When playing with Iceland, the Dilemma option for request courtly support in the Dilemma Tyrion's Intervention should no longer grant more than 1 rank to Lords and Heroes. Okay, so it's just a bug that was benefiting players, but nonetheless has been fixed. Fixed a crash, that's always good. All the buildings unlocked through Acer Domination should now properly display a button linking to the appropriate Acer Domination initiative. Acer Domination initiative should now properly display all buildings they unlock instead of just some of them. Note this change will not affect saved games, only new campaigns started with the Sea Patrol. Okay. Norska, Bjork Bearstruck's anti-infantry use marked to be consistent with his damage profile. Okay, so his anti-infantry is now more on par with what it should be. This is a bug I was actually talking to someone in a stream about fairly recently, where turns out if you had an Altar of the Eagle and you were winning battles and doing some stuff around it, you could actually trigger infinite research, but that has been fixed. Fixed a bug with Throg's Legendary Heroes. The Norska technology, the 4-forward voice, should now no longer display the affected units cards multiple times. In addition, this tech should now apply to spellcaster characters gained through allegiance to the gods or confederation. So that's good. So this should just apply to everyone that's supposed to. Kurgan Horsemen should now properly receive physical resist from Norskan Tech Champions of War. That's good. You need to, you should be getting all the buffs you're supposed to be getting. Monsters Arcanum markers should no longer spawn right next to settlements. That's good. That way you're not forced to attack the settlement if it's an enemy settlement, or you don't get stuck around them. Improved enemy behavior from second stage monstrous Arcanum hunts to reduce the amount they will no longer retreat after surviving a defeat. Oh, okay, so this is saying that making it where they're not likely to survive and then run away and then you have to continue dealing with them. It shouldn't function like that as much, or just shouldn't do that, at least very, very rarely. The technology giant manacles for the Fecondites should now affect Plague Ogres, both variants. The technology hideous amputations for the Fecondites should now also affect Plague Ogres. Fix an issue where Ketzak Fimdrak from Tarmakon's campaign was missing some of his original skills. Fimdrak now has the upgraded skill tree for all Famir Balefiends. Very good. Ogres, settlements given to Skaven faction should now have their owner revealed right away instead of showing his ruins. Okay. Fix an issue where the dilemma to confeder another Ogre Kingdom faction would not trigger after defeating their leader when playing as the Man-Eaters if that faction was currently a target of an active war contract. Ah, okay, wow. That's that is a very specific situation, but that's good that it's been found and fixed. Skaven, Clan Eshen's plunge into anarchy action was not working on factions that possess those settlements, and now it does. Very good. Once again, pretty rare scenario, but it's good to have it working properly. Fixed a crash when players tried to activate an Eshen action twice. Good, we don't like crashes. Slaanesh, fix an issue so that Eternal Dance's effects are no longer reapplied after switching back to the original dance. All right, that was definitely an unintended buff I'm sure some people were utilizing. Fix an issue so that when playing as the Mask of Slaanesh, switching the dance back to a previously completed one will now reset all the choices that have been selected for that dance. Choices that have been recorded to the repertoire can be loaded from there. Okay, yeah, that's how that's very much intended to work, is that you're not supposed to be locked into the choices you made earlier, so that's good. Fix an issue where some characters on Demonic Steed weren't consistent with their physical and missile resistance. Good. Common Lords and Heroes should no longer be able to spawn with the name Steercar of the Mask. Good. Building slots unlocked by the Pleasure Palace were slightly adjusted. The new building slot count for the 5 levels is now 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is good. Just makes it a very nice straight level up instead of whatever it was before. When playing with Takala, the red skill lines of Chaos Lords and Chaos Sorcerers should now properly apply their benefits to demonic units recruited through demonic attraction. That's good. The effect granting local recruitment capacity in the building Warhowl Barrow has had its scope changed so that it now provide the benefit as intended. Okay. Slaanesh Technologies, Marvelous Executioners, Mortal Obsession, Blasphemous Promises should now provide their benefits to the Forsaken of Slaanesh units as it says they're supposed to. Yeah, that's always, these are always super frustrating when you have a tech that isn't actually giving a certain unit supposed to be giving buffs, because those can be really hard to spot. The skill Mistress of Disciple should no longer grant a boost to Disciple armies when playing as Takala. Instead, it should now boost the army's thrall incomes for battles. Yeah, that's very good because Takala does not have Disciple armies. So that was not doing anything, and that's now been fixed. Fixed an issue where converting a thrall camp to a Tormentor's Hold would sometimes not drop the main building level in the settlement by 1 level. Yep, that little bug fix. Pre-battle screen, the Marks of Cruelty purchase buttons cost will now turn red when you're running out of a Decadence. Okay, that's good, because currently there was no way to actually be able to tell that. Wars of Chaos. Fixed an issue preventing Wars of Chaos AI from properly evaluating constructing number of buildings. That's really good, so this will hopefully make the Wars of Chaos AI better. All Warrior Chaos factions should now have access to the Bloodstreak Chimera ROR. Makes sense. Fix the Cursor's Boon, not spawning a rift in some provinces. Cathayan Hinterlands and Mountain's End. Cursor's Boon. I can't remember if that's Be'lakor. I think that's from Be'lakor. Yeah. Fix an issue where Chaos Sorcerers, Lords of Slaanesh were not able to use mounts when they were recruited via the Path of Glory. Good. Glad it's been fixed. Fix the placeholder tooltip for special phase abilities not appearing properly. Fix an issue with the effect the Gift of Choice from the Affected Eye opens dilemma for Festus would also reduce the unlock cost for Gifts of Chaos instead of only reducing the activation cost for those already unlocked ones. Okay. So that's good. That makes Festus a bit better. Tzeentch fixed a crash when using Tzeentch's Spawnify ability on Rebel armies. Which is, I mean, that's a reasonable play. I've never thought about using Spawnify in a Rebel army to try and like make it more powerful. Fixed a problem where a settlement can show only the symbolic or building chains, where a building of one chain has already been built, even though the player could switch to the other chain. Okay, good. So that just helps and clarifies a couple things. Prologue stuff, skip, mostly just like fixing some little stuff there. Items and ancillaries. Fix the HP property from equipping ancillaries not being updated properly. Good. Fix the ancillary availability for Bjorg, Bearstuck, and Steercar, the Swordsfanair, when used by the Warriors Chaos factions. Good. Luminarch Lens now applies weakness to fire to enemies' armies in the regions as it's supposed to. Good. Yeah, I need to bug CA about it some more, but I'm still waiting for Steercar to be available to Norska. Steercar should 100% be available to Norska. If they gave us Scylla and Fringrim, there's no reason they should not give us Steercar. So I do need to get back on their case about that. The Dune Restoration book, post-battle effect assets, reworked in the Tomb King style. Good. Make it actually match what's going on. Fix a crash on double-clicking the Load Lord button. The button now acts like a toggle for the opening the Lord Load panel. Okay, I don't know who was clicking that twice, but that was probably a rude awakening when that would happen. Fix the recruitment panel of Save Lords not showing correctly, and fixed a wrong income percentage increase visible in tooltips for in-slot buildings when they would not really receive such a bonus. Okay, good. Lots of bug fixes. This one, I believe this patch has a good amount of updates for balance for multiplayer as well. So we see for Slaanesh, Takala is now cheaper to take by 200 gold. The Mask of Slaanesh is now 100 more expensive. Her melee defense has been reduced by 2, and the damage done by Dance of Dreaming has been cut down just a little bit. So instead of 12 to 24 per second, it's now 10 to 20 per second to make her a little less powerful. The Mask she is a very, very nasty Mortis Engine character, so I'm not surprised to see some multiplayer nerfs for her. Slongors have had their charge bonus reduced by 4 and their melee defense reduced by 2 to make them a little less effective. The Chimera, oh god, this needed to be fixed. The Chimera was grossly overperforming with its shooting attack, notably because the projectile of its fire breath was just way too effective. Like, it was just slamming through people and was just absolutely ridiculous. So the penetration has been reduced to medium instead of high. The explosion damage has gone down from 70 to 60 and has had the AP percentage reduced, I believe. So it's still good, but it's not going to be just absolutely curb stomping like it was prior. We also see here that the leadership has been reduced by 5 for both versions of the ROR and regular variant, so they're more likely to break and run from shooting and combat. Because they're meant to be kind of like a low, high mid tier monster, but like more around the mid range, and I think they've been a bit overperforming. Chimera ROR has had the price increased by 50, and its upkeep has been increased a little bit. The healing of Perfect Predator has been reduced by 0.05% per second, and the availability from its healing ability, Perfect Predator, is no longer out of melee and is now no enemy in range. You can't heal if you're nearby enemies. You actually have to like run to a safe distance before it can go on the ground and go invisible and heal. Druki Anointed on foot and Cold One has had its price reduced a good amount. So by 50 each. So just a small nerf on price, or small buff on price actually. And physical resistance has gone from 5% to 20%. That's a very nice buff. So some good tankiness. The amount of uses they get of Hysterical Frenzy bound spell has been increased from 1 to 2. That seems reasonable. Hysterical Frenzy being 1 use only, I think is very silly considering it's a buff spell. The Praeton has had its cost reduced by 50 and its upkeep reduced by 16. The Unyielding Assault attribute has been added to the Endless Malice ability, which is good. That makes Endless Malice much more interesting and viable as an ability, because Endless Malice is the ability where it nukes your melee defense, but it makes you reflect melee damage, which is not awful, but is a bit funky. Now you also get Unyielding Assault, which means that your melee attack shoots back up to its whatever it was, and it can't be reduced by any means. So basically, if your Praeton is exhausted, or it's wounded, or it has some other debuff on it that would normally lower its melee attack, when you activate Endless Malice, its melee attack will now jump back up to base, which is very, very solid. Its hit ignore chance has also been increased from 50% to 75%. This is a very big, nice buff for the Praeton, and something it probably should have had base. So now it has a much higher chance of ignoring when people are hitting it, and it'll just continue fighting and dealing damage. It's much less likely to get stagger locked. Devotees of Slaanesh have had their ammo increased from 12 to 14, so they have more volleys. That's nice. The Dreadmaw, Dreadmaw's getting debuffed a bit. This thing was overperforming a smidgen. It's had its cost increased by 100, and in custom battle or multiplayer battles with limits, you can now only have 1 Dreadmaw per army instead of 2. The Marauder Bearman and Bjorg Bearstruck are no longer available to the Warriors of Chaos for multiplayer. They are now in the extended roster, so you can only take them in like normal custom battles. You can't take them if you're playing competitive multiplayer. The Famir Noble has had its price reduced by 50, upkeep reduced by 13. The Favored by the Matriarch ability has been buffed to last 7 more seconds, and the Shrouding Miss ability, which I believe is their passive, now has a 55 meter buff range instead of 35 meters, so it just buffs all around for the Famir Noble. The Riders of the Mighty Serpent have had their cost increased by 50, upkeep has been increased by 13, and however, to go along with their price increase, their accuracy has increased from 10 to 37, so they're going to be significantly more accurate with their thrown javelins, but they are a little more expensive to compensate. Iceland can now use Master of Mist twice per battle instead of only once per battle. That is a big buff for Iceland, especially in single player. I'm sure that's decent in multiplayer, but that's like really good in single player. And the Master of Mist ability also lasts for 12 more seconds, so it lasts for 36 seconds. That is a long ass time. That is very, very good. That's going to make Master of Mist significantly more powerful. For the Beastmen, the multiplayer cockatrice cost has been reduced down to 1050, which is what it was supposed to be at. It accidentally, I think, got increased by a mistake. General bug fixes. The straps, okay, so some just like random little graphical things. Fixed an issue with range units rotating while firing. That's good, so they will hopefully no longer do that. Saved replays of settlement battles will now maintain the level of the settlement's walls from the actual battle. So that's huge. That should hopefully fix the siege replay bug, which is a very, very infamous bug. Like, if you know any content creator that likes to do cinematic battles, this bug is like their greatest nemesis. So hopefully this does indeed fix that, because it made doing siege battles and then like saving the replay so you could like do cinematic camera angles pointless, because it would reduce the level of the siege walls, which would ruin the replay, because like different things would happen and mess the AI up. So hopefully this has fixed that issue. Nurgle abilities now spread out to nearby friends and foes. This is good. This is a fix that I know I messaged them about because it was happening when I was playing around with Kugoth. So that has now been fixed. So Nurgle abilities now infect like they're supposed to. Fixed several animation tags for buildings, creatures, and heroes. Good, good, good. Fixed a lot of animation tags. And, additional idle animations have been added for characters mounted on demonic steeds. Very cool. That's always nice. Items and abilities. Casting fire damage was not applying true fire damage when you have sulfurous reek in battles from the campaign. So now it does, which is always good. Updated fire at will, target prioritization, producing more consistent shooting. We will see about that, but if this is working properly, this should mean that when your guys have fire at will turned on, your guy should be better about more consistently shooting at available targets instead of trying to shoot at something they can't shoot at and just sitting there not doing anything. Limited the Scroll of Stone to only be equipped by generals. Okay, so Scroll of Stone, granted, Scroll of Stone is one of the most powerful scrolls in the game. Like, it's obscenely strong. So making it generals only is probably fair, because if you were a faction that could get good access to it, you could spam the shit out of it, and it was very, very overpowered. Fixed an issue where Quench from Soul Quench Contact Effect would not be showing an icon in the unit status window. That's good. Good fix. Units assigned causes fear to sorcerers of Slaanesh to be consistent with other characters on demonic steeds. Good. That is a good fix. So now the Chaos Sorcerers of Slaanesh, just like the other ones, now cause fear. Proper unit attributes to the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Slaanesh has been applied for the Warshrine mount. Okay. Wow, the Sorcerer of Slaanesh had some issues. Fixed an issue where the Sorcerer of Slaanesh, when playing on Warriors of Chaos, would be unable to use the Warshrine, so that has been fixed. The landship collision size has been reduced a bit, so it's easier for infantry to hit it. Fixed wrong material IDs on cape edges, causing black strikes on the textures. Fixed a problem where the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch was not always firing when controlled by the AI, so the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch should be a little spookier when the AI is fighting you. The aquatic bonus is now applied to oceanids and sea elementals when they are fighting in shallow water. Thank you. They still should have magical attacks. They should have magical attacks. I don't know why they don't. It's very dumb that they don't. That needs to be fixed, CA. They should have magical attacks. Fix an issue so that shadow water debuffs affect relevant units properly. Okay, so it sounds like I still wish aquatic would have like an actual unit icon. I don't understand why woodsman is given a unit icon, but aquatic isn't. That, to me, that feels very silly. So I don't know why that's the case, but I would like to see aquatic given an actual unit icon. Fixed color mismatch between the body and head of oceanids. Okay, that's nice. So the oceanids will look a bit better. Dreadmaws can now use the surface ability when part of a reinforcing army in multiplayer. That's a good fix. I remember me and Anticity discovered this as a bug right before the DLC came out. So it's good to see that that has now been fixed. Minor weight issues have been repaired regarding the Praeton's antlers. Cool. And then added 2D portholes for the river and stone trolls in the Norska roster. All right. Cool beans. So nothing super crazy. It's mostly just a ton of bug fixes. I would guess that based on, and once again, I'll be talking about this tomorrow, where I'll be going over Creative Assembly's Reddit post where they kind of went over in detail. But it really seems like in order to try and get the game into the best place it can be for the end times, the major focus leading up to it is almost purely going to be on bug fixes and bug repairs, and we're probably going to see very little new content outside of the Cathay mini Lord pack, which we still don't know when that's coming out, and we still don't know what's in that. If you're curious about what I think is going to be in that, I will have a link here at the end of the video that you can click on the screen or down below if you want to see my prediction video on that. But I have heard, I believe we're supposed to hear something about that soonish, I think before maybe the end of the month, hopefully. We'll have to see. But in any event, yeah, like I said, I'm intending on putting out a video tomorrow where I'm gonna have a discussion to kind of go over my thoughts in regards to CA's current strategy. The TLDR for the moment to carry us into tomorrow is that I think for what the end times is supposed to be, it's probably the right choice, but it is a little disappointing simultaneously, because I was really enjoying getting like a new unit or a unit variant with each of the patches, because goodness knows there's still a ton that I would really like to see. I'm still waiting on my Dragon Ogres with like multiple weapons, like Dragon Ogres with halberds and Dragon Ogres with additional hand weapons would be so kick-ass, but all things in good time. In any event, please do let me know what y'all think down below. One thing I really like to hear from y'all is if there are any bugs you're aware of that are not addressed by this. This did take out all of the bugs that I was mostly aware of, because I know the big ones that I had submitted reports for recently revolved mostly around like the Nurgle stuff, the cockatrice not being recruitable, and a couple other little things, but pretty much I think all of them actually have been addressed in this patch. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, and I will see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.